few years back, I was talking to my lawyer friend and I was coaching him on how to do real estate investing. And after a few months in, he said, man, everything I was taught in law school, law college, whatever they call it, was antithetical to the investing journey. They teach us to reduce risk in whatever ways possible, whatever means possible. But as an investor, you are about hedging the line, treading the line between risk and profitability and quality of life, and trying to manage all those things, kind of like juggling, literally. And so I wanted to make a quick little video on like three pillars of risk that you could apply to your investing, because let's face it, lots of industry changes happening, already happened, will continue to happen in bigger scales. So investing is the only way to hedge against that, well, as best as you can. So there's three ways. There's burn rate, there's education, and there's damages. That last one sounds provocative, doesn't it? Burn rate. The risk of burn rate is probably the biggest one that people don't think about when they go into investing, especially if you make big chunks of change, like is pretty regular if you do real estate right, or even if you do other types of investment right, you could earn big chunks of change. You even hear outside of real estate, right? These crypto guys that made $1 million out of $1,000. That's not the regular occurrence. I'm sure they did a lot of education to get there, a lot of planning, which is the next point. But burn rate is really just tracking everything that is coming out of your bank account. So having literally a spreadsheet, it could be as simple as a spreadsheet, really. You just go plop it in week one of the month. X, Y, and Z happens. Uh, Week two, this happens. What what expenses are on this week two? What expenses are on week three? What income are happening on what weeks too? Right. That is a very basic way to track all that stuff too. And my computer just went to sleep, so that's why I had to click my keyboard real quick. But anyways, education is the other aspect to it too. So education is lacking in our public schools, probably even private schools, around investing, around finances, around balancing the act of making gobs of cash while also saving money. Um, there's this quote that I love, a rap lyric that says, "Spending money like I never had nothing." The nothing is another more profane word, but it drives the point home. If you don't have education on how to manage finances, worse yet, investing in bigger and bigger ways, you're going to spend that money like a maniac. There was one investor, a good friend of mine, a good brother of mine I've known over 12 years. He's an investor in our fund. And when he had this big chunk of change, he said, "Man, Ivan, you better go and invest this in something right, because if I just keep this, I'm gonna go buy some stupid car or stupid cars." So I'm glad he was even aware to be able to be clear about that, right? Like, so much of the struggles of investing is really about not being clear about, hey, this is what I want to do. Here's what I want to start. Matter of fact, I was meeting with a old friend of mine, Kama, and her husband, and she was saying, "This is what I want to do next." And when I kind of said, "Here are all your options," she and Carlos, her husband, said, "No, this is what we're going to do next. That we're clear on that. We've discussed it. We're ready to go." And so that's really brings it all to education, right? Like if you're aware of what you want to do, you identified it, you're comfortable with it, your risk tolerance is aligned with that asset, then be clear, move forward. Even if it's one toe at a time, it doesn't have to be 10 toes down, as they say. You don't have to go all balls to the wall all the time. And then the last piece is damages, which relates to what I just said, balls to the wall. Although there is a value to going hard on investing, it creates a lot of risk. Um, there's some people that I know that have made tens of millions of dollars in 10 years, but there's damages that come with that. If there's not a progressive way to build up to that, then there are, in his case, family damages. Like he regrets not being able to reunite with his wife because of the cost of scaling up this business. It took like 100 hours a week every week for 10 years, right? And that can't be rebuilt in a day. Um, and so that's one part of the damages, but I also really wanted to meet where it connects to damages from a liability perspective. So there was this great instructor I had when I was getting my real estate license. He said you could measure anything in damages, right? If somebody hurts your feelings, you could have damages over that. I could start a lawsuit essentially. Somebody misses a detail, um, like not disclosing a certain amount of information on a sales contract. Like, did you happen to know if you bought a house sold as is, you still, if there was something that the seller knew that was ridiculously obvious that they should have disclosed, like a easement, like there's a gigantic drainage underneath the property, or Georgia Power owns the left side of your property because there's a lines that need to run underground or through some poles through that property, and so they need access to that. Even if you sold as is, or that seller sold as is, there's still liability that to that seller, because the buyer could say, "Wait, this utility pole fell on my house. I didn't even know that they could easily just walk up on my property whenever they want to fix it. Let's go sue the seller that sold this house to us, even though it was sold as is." So damages is something to track because it creates probably the most risk of all. Because if you're not actively thinking about stuff like that, that you could get ahead of, uh, even outside of just day to day random situations like that, you could think of, like there's entity structures, right? There's business structures, there's attorneys that could advise you on that. There's all sorts of things that come into damages, but really it comes into a deeper question, which is, are you doing your job? Are you following through on what you said you would do? Whether you're a buyer, seller, agent in the middle of that, or agents. And so being able to have protection measures along that path of doing your job and being as recognizant as you can be to defend every aspect of your job and the people you're representing is another key aspect of that. Um, I probably went way too long. Yes, 8 minutes. I wanted to be 5, but I hope this was all valuable to you. I'll try to make more videos as I have time. Keep being awesome. I'll catch you later.